Welcome to the Workplace Ninja Summit 2022 podcast, a live recording directly from Lucerne with interesting topics.
Good morning and welcome on day 3 of the Workplace Ninja Summit 2022. And on this day, date number 3, I have again new guests on the table and we will do some interviews again. And my name is Frans Oudendorp and on the table I have Ronny and Pim to have a chat with. But first, Ronny, do you have some introductions of yourself? Probably.
Good morning all, and thank you for having us. I'm Ronny de Jong, coming from the Netherlands, and I'm working for Microsoft as a security technical specialist and focusing on all the security solutions we have. And
let's do that again because the mics weren't on.
This is also recorded. This is a blooper.
We have to cut it out, but we do that afterwards. But Ronny, who are you and what are you doing?
That's a good question. I was wondering I'm Ronny de Jong, and I'm coming from the Netherlands, and I'm working for Microsoft as a security technical specialist, and focusing on all the security solutions we have, from the endpoint identities to the infrastructure, and keep everything safe. And I'm actually always been involved in the community or back days as MVP, and I really like to keep it up and sharing knowledge, and always embracing the fact that learning over knowing. And we had a session together with Pim, and there was also knowledgeable people in the audience which helped us to answer the questions. So that was a great example of how community works and the interaction, and that's really energized me. So that's putting a smile on my face.
And that early, it's almost 10, but for us it's early. Your session was really early today.
Was it, Pim?
It was a bit out of my comfort zone, indeed. 8 o'clock is not really
not that fun. But Pim, what are you doing in your normal day job?
I'm Pim Jacobs, principal consultant at Spark and Microsoft MVP. Mainly focusing on everything within the Microsoft Entra portfolio and Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So that is what my focus is. That includes security features. And on this event, we presented a session about Defender for Cloud Apps, and we just finished with attack surface reduction, which are both security features. And the one is more focused on the identity side of things, where we use conditional access, and the other one is more focused on the device side of things, so more endpoint manager related, which is great. This is actually my second event where I am in person, which is so much more fun than virtually, because the only thing I can tell, because I started presenting in the COVID period, of course, and the only thing I can tell is that there is a big difference as a presenter, at least, for to present in person or virtually in Teams, because you don't have any clue what people think of your session, if they find it enjoyable. People ask less questions, at least that's my personal experience. And in person is so much more fun. The interaction you get is something you can never get virtually.
Yeah, that's the question that I have asked a lot these days. We are finally in person on an event. What does that mean for you, Ronny?
Being in contact or reconnect with your community peers, meeting new people, making some new friends, and also last year I joined Microsoft. I have a lot of colleagues, and also met some colleagues from Switzerland based, and also in the same role, different roles, using lunch and also sharing experiences. The fun thing is we, apart from the technology we are sharing and the company, we also sharing experiences from the field. Some colleagues were in the same territory. I'm focusing on the public sector, and especially the central gov and local gov, and also they are facing similar challenges as we had in the Netherlands 2-3 years ago about trust, embracing cloud. Is it trustworthy? And they were struggling, missing out of regulations, whether or not it's allowed. and that's fun to exchange the experiences, learning from each other. And that's what it actually takes from these kind of in-person community events. So that's really what I enjoy, similar to what Pim mentioned.
Virtually, it's completely different than be finally in person to chat with each other, have the interaction, to see the things that happen in the eyes and that sort of things.
It's the fun, but also the expertise, and then people are keen to share knowledge and to exchange experiences, and that's actually eager to help. Yeah. That's really fun.
Luckily, we see a few familiar faces on that we have seen in the past, but also new faces are coming up, and that's good to share knowledge and do stuff with each other. Yeah. You both had 2 sessions. The first one was about Defender for Cloud Apps. Yesterday, Pim, we had a talk about Defender for Cloud Apps, and Defender for Cloud Apps is one of the products in M365 Defender, who is a kid on the block that is not well known, I think.
Well, yeah, maybe it's well known, but people don't see the added value. I think it's related to devices, it's related to identity, but if you're mainly going to look at it, it's mainly related to apps, and there are no app owners. Yeah, there are app owners, but there is no one which is having the total picture of an environment. So what you in most cases see with customers and the focus with it on the partner end as well, is that it mainly focuses on identities, devices, and securing your Azure cloud, those kind of things. When we look at applications, people are taking measurements, but they are doing it from the Azure AD side, and they don't do it from a Defender for Cloud App side. And there is so much more added value there than companies are using today.
Yeah, if I am a customer, why should I use Defender for Cloud Apps, Ronny?
Like Pim mentioned, gaining insights. The first thing is gaining insights of what applications your users in your organization are using. It's actually fueling the shadow IT conversation. And starting with gaining insights, and not only for the Microsoft productivity apps, but also third-party apps integration. These insights are valuable, but because based on these insights, we can help organizations to make the right decisions, whether it's allowed to use an application, or you can even help your end users by facilitating a better app to use it. Or you have to comply to certain regulations. Perhaps you're in the FSI, and for example, you have to comply to PCI DSS. Well, if you're using SaaS applications which are not applied to those regulations, then you might be not compliant, and that's also interesting from a legal perspective. So not only from malicious applications, but also from legal, and that's what Defender for Cloud Apps helps. Another interesting thing is, and that was also the title of the session, being a shepherd of your data, is the fact that cloud technology makes it very easy to collaborate, whether it's internally, but also with your contractors, guests, or even supply chain. But how do you keep up with your data, your documents, perhaps confidential documents? And because it's so easy to share, people forget what they shared. Yep. And all those, they're missing the insights. And if you have a solution like Defender for Cloud Apps, you have these insights under your fingertips. And by using the insights, you can actually make the decisions, or you can take actions to remediate or remove those open shared documents, for example, or making sure that trusted or confidential information is remaining in your organization and are not leaked out to the public. So that's definitely a value add of Defender for Cloud Apps.
Yeah, I call it sometimes, and we are in Switzerland, we call it sometimes the Swiss knife, Defender for Cloud Apps. Why is that, Pim? we talked about securing data, but is that the only thing that you can do with the Defender for Cloud Apps?
No, there is so much more you can do. It starts actually with gathering data, gaining insights, as Ronny mentioned, and then there are 4 types of policies. Shadow IT, which is really important. So you can be some organizations have protected already their environment in the past by setting consent and permission settings. But there are some in the past, before that even came into Azure AD, people already consented to apps. So you want to get insights. But we also want to prevent bad apps from being added to your Azure AD. So that's something Shadow IT can do for you. We got threat detect, and you can set up alerting, SMS, email. You can build your own Power Automate runbook. So there are various things where you can be alerted with. Then going to threat detection, that's related to mass downloads. Some people are leaving the company there. So in some cases, they think, oh, that's helpful. I download the whole SharePoint site and put it on a USB stick. Well, that's at least something you get insights in. I don't really care what you do with those kinds of situations, but at least you know that you've got data, possible data leakage. Mailbox forwarding rules. That's something hackers are doing. It's by default these days disabled in all tenants. But if an admin has enabled it, you still want to be alerted from it. We got actually conditional access policies in there. It's quite funny. When I mentioned it yesterday, I saw some faces like, huh? Really? Conditional access in Defender for Cloud Apps? Yes. Because what you can do simply with the regular conditional access rules, which are available within Azure AD or Microsoft Entra, you can forward the session control to Defender for Cloud Apps. So I'm granting control, but I'm saying apply the session controls within which you have defined within Defender for Cloud Apps. And from there you can set things like, if a confidential file is accessed, you cannot download it. You cannot. You can put a cut, copy, and paste restrictions on it. You can secure your Microsoft apps, like prevent OneDrive syncs from happening, but still provide access to the Teams client, or the other way around. There are way more granular controls based on the things which conditional access cannot do. So. What is the labeling, sensitivity labels? It works closely together with all those features. So that's what we can achieve with conditional access. And then the last one is file protection. And file protection is, it would be, if my honest opinion would be, that would be my last step in the process. And file protection is based on, if I download a file and it is not, doesn't have a sensitivity label applied, apply this sensitivity label like confidential if in this document the words XYZ are defined. So that's actually what we can do.
So a lot of things that can be done with Defender for Cloud Apps. So if you want to know more, please visit blogs or the docs pages at Microsoft to see how it can be helped, or get in contact with us to see if we can help you. The second session that you have delivered was about attack surface reduction rules, but that is mostly on Windows, Windows Server, Windows operating systems. Why is the attack surface reduction rules? Why are they so important, Ronny?
Attack surface reduction rules are actually not sure if the first line in defense, but it's actually giving you a line in defense, starting on your endpoints, preventing malware or ransomware from being executed in your organization. And there are so many other security solutions from preventing you, like Defender for Office, making sure that malicious emails, phishing, you can block that. But once, for some reason, it can be also entering by USB stick, for example. And then you want to have a defense in depth methodology applied and implemented in your organization. So if you bypass the first line or the second line, then you have always a third or fourth or fifth line in defense. And that's where ASR rules comes into play. It's actually hardening your endpoints and reducing your surface attack, as the wording mentioned. And you have some categories where you can apply these rules. And well, that's also where our session was all about, is about giving direction where to start with and taking benefit of the reports, the insights, because based on the insights, you can make the right decisions, and making sure that certain ASR rules doesn't harm, not from the ransomware, but from an IT admin, for example, because you can harm your productivity if you're not properly configured them. So
is that also the reason when I come at customers, and probably you have the same experience, but if I came at customers, ASR, activating ASR is a difficult one, because they are holding back because of other and things that they mention, and so on and so on. But what is the main reason, in your opinion, why ASR is so difficult to activate at a customer?
I think it's the lack of insights, and also because of there are so many, where to start with and prioritize. And that's one of our objectives during our session, is start with gaining insights by putting them on in audit mode. That's 99% of the cases it's safe. You're not deprecating current processes, and take it from there. And although the reporting, the advanced reporting, comes with the advanced license queue, the E5, you have these insights, so you're effectively and efficiently can apply these ASR rules. And that's what I mentioned. We all know the brilliant basics, I call it. Like MFA, least privileges, and this is also part of the defense in depth, putting some security controls which prevent ransomware from being successful. Actually, we are ruining their business model or their return of investment of attackers, and increasing the cost of an attacker being successful by implementing the ASR rules.
Yeah, and ASR rules are part of the Microsoft Secure Score. So if I follow the advisements that are given within the Secure Score, then every customer should enable ASR, for example, Pim.
Correct. That's what I showed in my demo. I'm starting with Secure Score because, my experience is that not all SecOps teams or security admins are looking after Secure Score. I hope my customers aren't listening now. No.
It's such a great tool to gain insights in.
Now, what I showed actually, Secure Score is it redirects you to vulnerability recommendations. So Secure Score is one of your starting points. It redirects you to vulnerability management recommendations, and from vulnerability recommendations, you can see the impact. So, you simply get really great insights and know what the implication is of your environment on how you can deal with it. So, in the demo I showed, for example, there are 7 devices affected, and 4 of them, it could be safely turned on. That's something you can work with. If you want to go deeper and see where those 3 other devices, why they aren't, why we cannot simply put it to block for them, possibly, of course, you can go to the reports section in the security.microsoft.com section, and from there go to attack surface reduction rules, and there you can select the rule and then see why there is a device in there that hit this particular rule, attack surface reduction rule, and which process was affected. So that you can either determine this was malicious, I don't want to have it in my environment, or to say, okay, this is used by some sort of Microsoft process, because Microsoft processes are using some kind of attack surface reduction rules as well. So it's definitely not something you can put by default to block, because you're definitely breaking something. But in that case, you can create exclusions. And based on that, if you're the SecOps team, make the recommendation, the remediation action, and put it to the endpoint manager team. or implement it yourself if you're the same person.
Yeah. So to start with ASR rules, look at the secure score, enable audit mode, and gain insights before you enable the rest of ASR and have a look at the deeper insights on the specific rules.
Yeah, and one thing to comment, which is very important, I emphasized it 3 or 4 times in the session. Stay with the new security configuration policies, because there is not a consistent behavior. If you're using device configuration policies or even security baselines, you can use them to apply ASR rules. But the challenge here is not all the latest ASR rules are part of these controls, and they are part of the security configuration policy. So please, if you're using ASR rules based on device configuration policies or security baselines, review or revise them and migrate them to your security configuration policies.
And make sure there are no conflicts.
Exactly.
Because if there is a conflict, the setting won't be applied correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for gaining insights in the Defender for Cloud Apps and the attack surface reduction rules to see what I can bring and help customers. So thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us, Frans.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yes, nice. And if you want to see more interviews coming, stay tuned for more interviews.